Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you've been watching my other videos, you know that I'm super excited to film this one all about how to take notes in college. I'm excited because I've been taking notes like this for almost 7 years, all throughout high school and college, and I've been able to get straight A's in all of my nursing school prereqs. I know my channel's more about nursing school and how to do well there, but this video is aimed towards anyone that's in school right now. This way of taking notes will help you organize and study and do well in your classes. So let's get started. One might say that taking notes is simply putting the information on the page so that you can study it later. However, our goal is to make our notes easy to read and easy to follow along so that we want to study it later. If you have a page of notes that makes no sense to you and is all jumbled up, you're never going to study and you're not going to be prepared for your tests. So I'm going to show you 3 ways to keep your notes organized and easy to read. My first tip is bullet points. This keeps the headings closest to the margin on the left side of the page and the subheadings under it but further away from the margin. This makes it so that you see the headings first and you know that the information that follows is in the same category. I'll show you an example of my notes later in the video, so stay tuned. My second organizational tip for you guys is color. I like to pick a different color for each chapter or unit in my class. And then while I'm taking my notes, I take that color and I make every heading that color. As you can see here, I've done it. Today was blue. And then I emphasize any important vocab words in that color or any important hints that the teacher gave, I will put in that color as I'm taking my notes. And then later when I'm studying, I'll highlight with that same color anything that's really important or that isn't sticking in my mind. This way of taking notes is really helpful when you're taking midterms that have multiple chapters in the test because each chapter will have a different color, and so it organizes it even more. When I get to those tests, I can read the question and be like, oh, that is talking about the purple unit. What do I know about that? Or that's talking about the blue unit. What do I know about that unit? And it just helps to get all that other information out of the way so you can only focus on that one chapter that's going to help you answer that question. I don't know about you guys, but every day of the week, every month of the year has a different color in my mind. Everything I have is color coordinated. It might just be me, but if you're like that, this way of taking notes could really help you. My third tip for you guys is making sure you put emphasis in your note taking. And I have 5 ways of doing this. I have underlining, capital letters, highlighting, starring words, and using that main color we talked about. I use these 5 things for 2 reasons. The first is importance. If my professor tells me I need to remember something for the quiz, I dang sure want to make sure I remember it. So I make sure I put something in my notes that has that thing sticking out. So if I've already written the information down, I'll put a couple stars next to it, underline it, or highlight it. And maybe I'll put at the top a key saying, hey, if this is highlighted, it's on the quiz. The second reason I use these 5 things for emphasis is simply organization. If I have a page of notes that's all in black and the same exact lettering, 1, it's not going to be fun to read, 2, my brain won't be able to organize the information, and 3, it won't stick out to me when I'm in my exams. Because everything will be black. I typically will be like, oh, that was the thing that was written in pink, or that was the thing that was highlighted. And so if I have a page that's all black, I'll quickly take a highlighter and just highlight the headings so that it's more organized and easy to read and study. The way I see it, there's 2 different ways you can take notes. You can either take notes on paper or on the computer. I want to go over the pros and cons of each because there's situations where paper is better and then there's situations where the computer is better. So let's get started. I like paper because it's really easy to emphasize things. On the computer, I have to highlight the phrase, go up to the top, click on bold or italics, and then click back out of it. Maybe that's easy to others, but to me it just is annoying because on paper I can simply highlight something or put some stars on the page and move on with my note taking. I also like paper because it leaves room for drawing pictures in the margins. Some of my friends were really visual and had to draw the pictures out that the professor was drawing on the board in order to help them with their tests. So if that's you, paper is awesome for that. Especially in science classes, there's some mechanisms that it just makes sense to draw them out. The next reason I like paper is that you can highlight when you're studying. As you're reading, you can highlight things that you think are important or things that you're struggling with remembering. And it's really easy to do that. I also like being able to underline things that the professor says. And my last reason is that it helps with memorization. It's been proven scientifically that writing things down helps you get them stuck in your brain more so than typing them. So that's my last reason there. Moving on to computers. I like computers because if your professor talks super duper fast, you can keep up with them. Sometimes note taking, my hand cramps and I can't keep up. And then I miss out on things that the professor is saying. So typing is really, really, really efficient there. I also like to put things in order with my note taking, and sometimes I have professors that jump around a ton. For example, my pathophysiology professor, she was awesome and really good at explaining things, but she would start a topic, move to the next one, and then go back to it. Or she would just order things in a way that didn't make sense to me. So if I was typing my notes, I can move back to that topic, put in notes, go to the next one, put in notes, and move back. Whereas on paper, if I've moved on. There aren't any more lines to go back to. So that's a reason I love typing on the computer. My next one is easy access. Say you are waiting at a doctor's office or waiting for someone at the school office and you have extra hours that you're just sitting there waiting. If you don't have your spiral notebook, you can't take advantage of that time and study. If you have your notes on your computer or on your phone, you can easily take advantage of that study time, and then you have more time later when you're at home to spend time on yourself. I also like computer because you can do things on Google Drive or you can email notes to other people. So if you're in a study group, you can study together. If someone missed class, you can easily help them out and send them your notes. Last semester, my sister-in-law's computer crashed and we happened to be in the same nursing class. So I was able to share all of my notes on Google Drive with her and it was able to help her out right before finals. If I had to pick one type of notes, I would definitely pick paper simply because of the helping with memorization. I used paper all throughout high school and throughout all my prereqs, and it just helps me on my test to be able to visualize what my notes physically looked like. But if that's not helpful for you, go ahead and use the computer. I also like paper just because of this highlighting thing, but I switched to using a computer in nursing school because my professors talked way too fast. We have so much information to get through that I had to use the computer. I also like it in nursing school because I share my notes with people all the time. If they're gone or if they're just interested in how I take my notes, I share with them. I think study groups are great, and I think the more you can help people out, you should. And so I love that I'm able to help people by sharing my Google Drive. In order to get past this highlighting when I study, I printed out my notes on my computer so I could highlight. So that's a way to get past that, because I can't take my notes on paper in nursing school. We have 4-hour classes and my hand cramps after 30 minutes. So if you have to use computer, there are ways that it can be really, really helpful and ways that you can get past that whole memorization by writing thing. Another reason computer is great, the majority of my nursing classmates like to download the PowerPoints that my professors post and then take notes right under the slides. This is great because say the PowerPoint has words on it. If you were taking notes by hand or on your own document, you would have to rewrite the words that are on the PowerPoint and the words that the professor is saying. But if you already are taking notes on the PowerPoint, then you only have to write down what the professor is adding to the PowerPoint.
So I wanted to show you guys a page of my own notes as an example of how the information that I've given you can be applied in real life. So this is a page from my physiology class. I took it my 3rd semester of college, and this is the muscle unit. So as you can see, everything's written in bullet point form, and the main color is purple. So the titles in purple, and the vocab words or words that I hadn't known before are written in purple. I also underlined the headings, I think simply because it was getting a little messy. Anything that's highlighted is from me studying. So the highlight is from things that I needed to remember, and the check marks over here, I would check it when I felt like I knew that section really well. And you can see there's 2 check marks, an orange check mark and a purple check mark, because I studied more than once. I also have this picture, and it just shows you how quickly you can add a picture in and you don't need that much space. And then I have this thing right here that says parallel elastic component. It just shows that I think I forgot that and I needed to add that in. So it shows you that you can mess up and your notes will still look good. I also wanted to show you how I take notes on my computer. So I take all of my notes on Google Drive because I find that I can organize them really easily. I can keep up with my professors, and then I can share things that I need to, and I always have accessibility to it, so I can study on my phone if a clinical's really slow or something like that. So I have this folder that's all about nursing, and in the folder I've distinguished it by semester. So we're going to go into level 2. And this little folder with a person just means that I've shared it. So I've shared it with classmates who weren't there that day, or I think this is all just signifying that I shared it with my sister-in-law when her computer crashed. So we'll go to pharmacology. Each Google document is a different chapter. So like I said, on my paper notes, I do everything in a different color. In Google Drive, it just gets a separate document. And we're going to go into cardiac drugs because that was one of the first ones I did. So this is my cardiac drugs document. These little asterisks are just things that I needed to remember, things that kept getting mixed up in my mind, and I just wanted to see them. Every time I came to study, I would see that up front. This is the heading here, the one without the bullet point, and then each bullet is a different disease. And then this is a way of getting around the picture thing. So it's really easy to draw pictures in your paper notes, but it's also really easy to copy and paste pictures in your Google Doc notes. So this is just from Google, and I just pasted it in, and I see it every time I study. This is more typical of my pharmacology notes. So cholesterol lowering meds was the overall heading. So I would have, in general, what cholesterol lowering meds do, and then I have each type or each class of drug within the cholesterol lowering category. So the HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors or statins is the class, and then in each class I have the meds, the action, so what they do, what they're used for, any side effects, interventions, contraindications, and interactions. So each one has that. If I scroll down, it'll have the same exact titles. And then in these, all the bold is just what my professor said to remember. Not too much to it. As you can see, there's not much color, but when my professor would talk really fast, I could keep up with her. And I would just print this off and highlight to add color to it when I was studying.
Well guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more study tips. I appreciate all of the views and all of the support, and I hope to see you guys next time. See ya!